What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Tomatolito Boxing Show, and we are on the cusp of having witnessed another amazing performance by one Devin the Dream Haney. A one-sided affair, a one-sided schooling that Devin Haney gave to an accomplished fighter in Regis Prograis. A fight that many were saying was going to be 50-50. It was hard to say it was going to be 50-50, but you wanted to give Regis Prograis the fact that he was a solid 140-pounder with a great resume, a great body of work, holding only one defeat, and that being at the hands of Josh Taylor, where there were 3 titles on the line at that time when they faced each other. A fight that was a close affair, but Josh Taylor ended up getting the nod on that fight, and you couldn't really argue with it. It was hard to make. It was hard to make a solid argument for Regis Prograis having pulled that out, even though the scores were so tight. You knew that Josh Taylor stood out above Regis Prograis to garner the majority decision that night. 3 titles on the line, but if you look at Regis Prograis' resume, he's fought top dogs for the last, say, 10, 15 fights. People that are 23-0 in Joel Diaz Jr., 22-1 Julius Ndongo. Juan Jose Velasco was undefeated, 20-0. Terry Flanagan, 33-1. Kiro Relic, 23-2. Josh Taylor was 15-0. That's where he dropped his first loss to. Juan Heraldez, 16-0. Ivan Redcash, 23-5. Seasoned fighter. Tyron McKenna, 22-2 at that time. Jose Cepeda, Chon Cepeda, 36-2 when he faced him. Danielito Zorrilla was his most recent opposition, and that's the fight where Bill Haney was present at. And that took place in June of this year. And that's the fight where Bill Haney was in the audience and scouting basically Regis Prograis. And after that performance, they ended up pursuing this fight and landed the fight with Regis Prograis. And a big reason why is because of his performance that night, where Danielito Zorrilla was a hell of a contender and gave Regis Prograis a hell of a fight. Regis Prograis walked away with a split decision. A lot of people thought that Zorrilla should have won that the title should have changed hands. But it didn't. And Prograis retained the title and moved on to Devin Haney. Now we witness Devin Haney remain undefeated, 1. 31-0 now, with 15 knockouts. The arguments and the lead up and the hype to the fight was real. It was great. I was super hyped, super excited to see this fight. And it delivered. It delivered because Regis had such a great resume leading up to this fight. There was no way that you could doubt Regis Prograis and putting up a hell of a fight, regardless of his last performance. Everybody has bad performances. Regardless of that, he was going to bounce back because his resume gives him that much credit and that much benefit of the doubt, having been involved in such big fights already to date. He was a 140-pounder against a quote-unquote smaller fighter coming up from 135. But this is no everyday run-of-the-mill small fighter. He is the undisputed, the 8th to accomplish the feat in the 4-belt era in Devin Haney. One Devin Haney that if you go back to one of the earlier episodes that I did, go back and check out my catalog, and you could see every time that I've covered Devin Haney, I've been so big on him and the way that he's been building up, whether it was the Jojo Diaz fight or the Jorge Linares fight, or the Gamboa fight, what have you. He's been scaling up, and I've always been excited to see where he was going to improve and how he was going to get better. And yes, the arguments that he had a weak chin, that he had weak legs, that he was going to get wobbled and dropped, and he kept answering those calls. How was he going to fare out against this fighter? And he would do it. How was he going to fare out against Linares, who was a seasoned veteran of the sport and a former champion and a former top dog contender in numerous divisions, who shook Devin Haney down the stretch? Devin Haney found a way to win and pull out the victory. Outboxed Jorge Linares that night. No way. If you survive Jorge Linares, who had such a tough fight against Lomachenko and got dropped by Lomachenko, no way Devin Haney would survive Loma. We witnessed it earlier this year. From the Alfredo Santiago fight to Yuriorkis Gamboa, Jorge Linares, Jojo Diaz, 2 fights with George Kambosos where he goes to enemy territory, both fights in Australia, lifts the titles, and then puts them on the line and delivers another masterful performance against Kambosos. Not only did he beat him in the first fight, which wasn't even close, he dismantled them in the second one, just picked them apart, and made it look even better. That led him and landed him Vasily Lomachenko in May of this year. A fight that many have disputed to date, that Lomachenko won that fight, that this, that that. Just think about what Devin Haney has accomplished and who Lomachenko is and has been and has meant for, what he has meant to the sport of boxing. Because if Devin Haney beat Lomachenko, how good is Lomachenko? We've always known this, the Matrix. But Lomachenko, who has been that great, that innovative, who has had the awe factor throughout his career and has left us speechless numerous times, only makes you wonder as to how good Devin Haney is. Because if Lomachenko has been that great, imagine Lomachenko having done this to Prograis or having moved up to 140, which he's really small for that weight. He's small for 135. And the things he has done at 135 have been second to none. There's talks that he's going to fight George Kambosos. So either one, whoever walks away victorious with that, will have a sure shot at a title. And the top rank will be Lomachenko and Shakur, both under the tutelage and management of Bob Arum in Top Rank. And DBE, Todd DeBove. That should be an easy fight to make. And we thought we were going to get that fight. And it didn't materialize. And then we got Shakur and Frank Martin. That didn't materialize. Then we ended up with Shakur. Edwin de los Santos. Shakur is the WBC champ. That title was vacated by Devin Haney. Shakur and Lomachenko would be a next level fight because we would find out exactly where Shakur is at. And this is an older Lomachenko who is in the latter stages of his career. But imagine how good of a fight he gave to Haney, to where look how good Haney looked against Prograis. It's crazy. And Haney continues to get better. His footwork, it's just incredible to see how easy he is to get in and out of trouble. How easy it is for him to get into the pocket and not get touched and get out of trouble. Get out from underneath. Sweep the carpet. He drops Regis Prograis in the third round. I actually gave Regis the first round because he started setting the pace and the rhythm to the fight by way of his left jab. started cementing what he wanted to do. And Devin started a little slow. And by starting slow, I mean 2 out of the 3 minutes of that first round. By round 2, Devin Haney wasn't having it. He started meeting Regis Prograis, Regis and a team who said that Devin Haney was not going to dare stand in the center of the ring with them, who was not going to dare stand in front of him. He had him in front of him the whole night. The majority of the fight happened in the center of the ring. Very few moments and exchanges that they have on the ropes throughout the night. It was a clean boxing fight where there was minimal clinching, minimal holding, minimal infractions or warnings. Just clean, straightforward. Type of boxing match, championship fight that we love to see because the talents and the flaws are exposed when you have such a high level fight like this. And Devin Haney exposed Regis Prograis, not for being a fraud. No, don't mistake my words. He just proved that he's levels above Regis Prograis. He made Regis look slow. Regis had nothing to offer. He was bested and he knew it. But he wasn't going to check out of the fight. He was going to see the fight through to the end, which he did. He got dropped. He got hurt numerous times. At no point did we ever see Devin Haney hurt or in trouble. Towards the championship rounds, we knew that Regis was going to continue to push forward and just say, the hell with it. Let's just go for the kill. And if I get caught, I get caught. And he started being a lot more aggressive, which is what we should have seen earlier or probably throughout the entire fight. And he was just lunging for that one haymaker, that one punch that would just shake up Devin and possibly take him out, which is always a possibility. We've seen it at boxing before. We've seen it with Shane Mosley with, 2 seconds left on the clock or whatever it was, something insane like that, and he knocked out Ricardo Mayorga. With the round coming to an end against Antonio Margaritas, he has him on the ropes in the 11th and he stops him. Shane Mosley put on those performances. We've seen those before. With seconds left, the famous Chavez Meldrick Taylor. We've seen those fights. So of course, a Regis could pull that off, but not on this night. Devin Haney was too good, too aware, and on top of his game from the opening bell to the closing bell. He didn't drop his guard. His stamina looked amazing. He did not look gassed whatsoever. Came out fairly unmarked. Just clean. Easy work that he made of a seasoned fighter in Regis Prograis. A 2-time champ. A fighter who has been in there, like I just said at the beginning of the episode, with some amazing talent and top-level talent at that. Undefeated fighter after undefeated fighter. Contenders. Champions. Former champions. And he's given them hell. Devin Haney shakes up the 140-pound division as the new WBC champ there. And I just mentioned it. He vacated the 135 WBC title, to which Shakur is now the new owner of that belt. At 135, Devin is talking about moving up as high as welterweight in his next fight, in his next outing. He looked big. He's filling into this weight. I don't see him, after this performance, I don't see him cutting down to 135. Even though he said, if the fight makes sense, I'll cut down. But the weight cuts are getting really hard and he felt good. And if he felt good, what we witnessed, we saw a Devin Haney that looked really, really good, really impressive, on top of his game, and once again leveled up. The sky's the limit for the dream. And we just witnessed a hell of a performance. Which, now that he's a WBC champ, we have Rolly Romero as the other champ, WBA, who's by far, and if Rolly listens to this, or anybody who's a Rolly fan, I don't mean any disrespect, but he is the weaker of the champs. Subriel Matias, the boogeyman of the division. Teofimo Lopez, the most talented, the highest profile name in the division. And now Devin Haney has entered as a WBC champ. Teo has the ring and the WBO titles. He's the man, because he dethroned the man, number 5 in the 4-belt era, Josh Taylor, to become undisputed. And Teo put on a performance similar to what we just saw Haney do to Prograis, Prograis being a former opponent of Josh Taylor. Teofimo put on a similar outing against Josh Taylor, where he just looked next level compared to Josh Taylor. Schooled him. Started competitive until Teofimo found his rhythm. And once he found his rhythm, he starts dancing and moving and landing at will and playing with the crowd and playing with his opponent and just schooled Josh Taylor. A Josh Taylor who's a solid fighter in my book. A Josh Taylor that if he was to get into another matchup with Regis, we would possibly have another close, tightly contested fight. A Josh Taylor who has a lot to offer the sport, but overlooked Teofimo. Had no respect for Teofimo. Didn't think Teofimo had anything to offer, anything to bring to the table. And Teofimo just schooled him, made it look easy. And here we go with Haney, putting on a similar outing, similar performance, similar type performance against another seasoned fighter in Regis Prograis, and a 2-time champ at that. Regis mentioned in the press conference, in the post-fight press conference, that he is not done, that he's going to seek to become a 3-time champion, whether it's in a third division or if it's within the same division. He would like to go against Subriel Matias or a Rolly Romero. He wants to seek and become a 3-time champion. Devin Haney immediately said, maybe we'll visit the idea of moving up to welterweight just to see how I fare out there. But the fact that he just landed in this new division makes me want him to stay at 140 and start unifying. The biggest fight, of course, would be Devin Haney and Teofimo, the Dream versus the Takeover. But the division, 135 is still a lot of fun, but these fighters from 135 are starting to move up to 140. And now we have Ryan Garcia, who put on a great performance and pulled through and stopped a game Oscar Duarte, but faced and overcame adversity during the fight, overcame personal obstacles during the fight, and then buckled down and closed the show in magnificent fashion, stopping Oscar Duarte with a knockout. Ryan Garcia's here now. That's a big money fight. He's going to go after Rolly, as he expressed in the post-fight press conference. He wants to go after Rolly and get a title around his waist. With the title around Ryan Garcia and the following that he has, you bet that's going to be a big money fight. Whether he gets in there with Teofimo, Devin Haney, or Subriel. The one name that nobody's mentioning is Subriel Matias. And the only person to mention Subriel Matias' name is Regis Prograis, who just relinquish his title to Devin Haney. There's talks. There's talks that Teofimo and Subriel Matias may be in conversations for a fight in the first quarter of 2024, but nothing serious. But out of boxers' mouths, the only one that has actually mentioned them has been Regis Prograis, coming off of a losing performance, relinquishing his title. That's commendable. I don't see or hear anybody else talk about Subriel Matias. They just talk about Teo, and they talk about Ryan, and they talk about everybody's chasing the money and the big payday, which understandably so. But in order to get there, unify the division. And the one person that I see taking on a Subriel Matias would be Devin Haney, just to prove the doubters and to take on the challenge. He did it at 135, so don't think I'm on a bandwagon. We just witnessed him conquer an entire division. And now he arrived here at 140. At which point do you stop being a Devin Haney hater? Just quit it. The kid's for real. And he looks better each time out. This is what we wanted to see from Shakur in his performance against Edwin de los Santos mid-November. And we didn't. But he's got a title around his waist. He performed great against Yoshino. He performed great against Consensao. He performed amazing against Oscar Valdez. He performed amazing against Jamel Herring. But had a dud with Nakatila. Has a dud with Edwin de los Santos. It's okay. He'll get there. Shakur has that much talent. And he's starting to amass such a big following that he could do that. But then you got your Devin Haney, who is putting on masterful performances. I would like to see Haney stay at 140 and go after Subriel Matias. If in fact the conversations are real and Teofimo ends up getting that fight with Matias and unifying, amazing. That's amazing. Then let's get Haney and Rolly. Because if we get Rolly and Ryan, then the only other fight that makes sense would be Haney and Tank. And where did this curveball come from? Don't forget, Tank ended up lifting a version of the WBA title from Mario Barrios at 140 pounds. And then did nothing with it. From there, he went on to fight Pitbull Cruz. Both fighters who were lesser known, but have become more known after their profiles came to light because of Gervonta Davis picking him. Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero. I think Ryan Garcia beats Rolly Romero. I would say that's a 70-30 fight in the favor, maybe even 80-20 fight for Ryan Garcia to beat Rolly Romero. Remember, Tim Bradley said Ryan Garcia would get murdered. That version of Ryan Garcia that we saw against Duarte would get murdered if he stepped in the ring against Subriel Matias. Let's get Ryan Garcia with a title, so negotiations could get even better for him and leverage turns to his side. Aside from just having a following, a social media presence, he'll have a title and leverage in his favor to make even bigger paydays, whether it's going to be against Teofimo or Devin Haney. But either way, that WBA title seems to be the weaker and the easier of the routes to unification right now. And I would still hold Ryan Garcia as the weaker of the four champions if he was to dethrone Rolly Romero, which I believe he will. If that fight happens, he would still be the weaker of the other champions between Devin, Teo, and Matias. Which is okay, because now he gets to prove the doubters, make the statement, and pull off the shock. It's okay. That's what we want to see. Don't forget that there's live dogs like Regis Prograis still there. We have Sandor Martin, who made Teofimo look bad in his debut at 140. Sandor Martin, the Spaniard fighter, he's a tough opposition for anybody, and he's the type of fighter that makes anybody look bad because that's the style of fight that he has. He's in your face and disruptive and very good at interrupting the opponent's flow and rhythm. Sandor Martin is trouble for anybody. We have Josh Taylor still there, who hasn't decided to move up to welterweight. He's still there. He should be cleared from the suspension, from the mandatory suspension, commission suspensions after his last fight, and that being against Teo, the loss that he took against Teo. Looks like Jack Catterall, who just beat Jorge Linares, and Jorge Linares subsequently retired. After that fight, Jack Catterall's calling for the rematch against Josh Taylor, so that looks like it's going to be a possibility and a big payday for them. UK side, Scotland versus England. So that'll be a big fight for them. Sandor Martin could probably be a big opponent for anybody that's there, a live dog. But let's get Ryan and Rolly, Devin and Tank. Jose Ramirez may be in the play. Maybe Devin takes on Jose Ramirez. But we still have Chon Cepeda. We have Richardson Hitchens, who's moving up. And he's making a name for himself. Great division. One of the funner divisions right now, which was kind of a dull division for a while. After Josh Taylor cleared it out. And it got kind of dull. 135, 147 were the funner ones. And of course, all the attention in the higher divisions. And the heavyweights have been doing their work. Middleweight has been kind of dull because it's been kind of lesser known names, as the higher profile names have either vacated or been sitting out, inactive. This has been one of the funner divisions. And then, of course, the smaller divisions, right? The Gallo Chocolatito and Naoya Inoue doing his work and dethroning Fulton and moving up. But man, what a hell of a fight. What a hell of a performance by Devin Haney. What a one-sided, masterful performance and display of high-level, high-pedigree boxing that Devin Haney gave to all of us. We're witnessing something special with Devin Haney at the moment. And I've been a big fan of his for the last few years. He's so young and he's so good. I can't wait to see how his career continues to develop. Similar to that of Shakur, similar to that of Tank, Teofimo. And of course, even Ryan Garcia, I'm interested in that fight. A lot of people were down on him, but he's coming into his own. He's figuring it out. He's jumped around from 135 to 140, has gone through a lot of inactivity, has gone through a lot of adversity personally outside of the ring, and has experienced some adversity in the ring. Has already experienced his first loss, but has also been part of a large gate and a large pay-per-view. That being when he was tied with Gervonta Davis. So he's marketable. And he's got talent on his side. He's just got to stick with the camp. And I think he's landed in a good camp. He expresses that with Derek James. Let's see what happens here. I'm really curious to see how his career develops. 140 is awesome. And I can't wait to see where Devin Haney goes from here. Masterful performance. I would love to pick his brain if I ever get a chance to speak to him or his dad or both of them. I would love to pick their brain because his dad is becoming a promotional genius. His dad basically has taken off from Danny Garcia's dad. He took several pages out of Danny Garcia's dad, where he would basically be the one running the press conferences and doing the talking. I don't know if you remember. I don't know how many times it happened that Danny Garcia was like, damn, my dad's talking so much shit that he doesn't, it's almost like he doesn't realize that I'm the one that has to answer all this. He's compromising me. I have to step in the ring, and I'm the one that's going to get punched in the face for all the stuff that he's saying. It was funny. It was a great relationship that they had. And Danny Garcia's dad was second to none. And Bill Haney seems like he's taken a couple pages out of that book, and he's running off with it. And he's entertaining to listen to. Some people think he's annoying, but he's doing it. He's doing it. And he's creating a lot of hype. And he's great for the build-ups for his son's fights. And Devin stays ever so cool, ever so calm, and just does work. Amazing. Amazing performance by the Dream, Devin Haney. Congratulations. I leave you guys all with this. I'm always curious to hear what you guys think, what you guys, where your heads are at, as far as what I'm covering here on the episodes. If there's anything you guys want me to cover, reach out to me. Shoot me an email. Reach out to me on Instagram. Any of the posts, when you guys see me post an episode on Instagram, the links are always on the bio. Comment. Shoot me a message. Give me a shout out. Just say hi. Just let me know you're out there. I know you're out there. The downloads continue happening and the clicks continue happening and the show continues to grow. We're doing good. We're finally back. We got the wheels and the gears moving again. Wheels are in motion, and let's take the Toma Todito Boxing Show to new levels. And I'm excited. I'm excited for how we're gonna wrap up 2023 and for what's to come in 2024. Love you all. Have yourselves a good night. Stay safe. Talk to you on the next episode.